Yo, what's going on? It's your boy King Rez. Look, you already know we back with a motherfucking banger. Look, man. After just an amazing versus yesterday between the game and YG. The YG, man, he already apparently is a Draco the Ruler. He's the killer, or he's involved, or some type of something. This is crazy talk, man. Listen, man. Apparently he knows something about it. We don't know. We're gonna find out right here. But first of all, I just want to say thank y'all for everybody coming through, watching, subscribing, liking, commenting, all that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all killing it right now. You feel me? Y'all the gang, right? Feel me? But I just want to say thank you again. But other than that, let's go ahead and kick it and let's dive into this motherfucker. Let's get it.
YG is absolutely cooked after Draco's security guard just identified YG as one of the individuals who was holding knives when Draco the Ruler was ambushed, attacked, and ultimately murdered when he showed up to do a concert. I don't know if YG knew this was coming down the pipeline, if he was tipped off to knowing that July was going to be the month of exposure, but YG dropped a song last month where he's explaining why he didn't murder Draco the Ruler and why he couldn't have paid for Draco the Ruler to have been murdered. So YG starts off by saying that he couldn't have been the person who murdered Draco the Ruler, or he couldn't have been involved, because if it was true, people who was saying he did it would be a rat and he will be in a cell. But because he's not in a jail cell currently, even that explanation is dumb. There are people who commit crimes and get picked up 10 years later all the time, or 5 years later in the case of YG. There are people who commit crimes and get away with it for a couple of years before getting picked up, okay? So just because you have not been arrested yet or you are not in a cell does not mean you would never be arrested or never be put in a cell for this.
Facts,
all right, so even that explanation is dumb. Now, in the case of YG, shortly after dropping that record, CHP and LAPD pull up on him with a murder search warrant, and they received a couple of property from YG, including his phone. So it looks like he spoke a little too soon. He then proceeds by saying, I got paid $600,000 for the show. Why would I tell somebody to F it up though? As if money has ever been a motivating factor for rappers not to go to jail. Of course, okay? So, but rappers mess up their multi-million-dollar career all the time. Lil Durk got like $40 million record
Pooh, Shazzy.
deal, and he's currently sitting in jail right now for revenge. You wanted revenge on Draco the Ruler, and that's a very plausible reason to why you will throw away $600,000 in exchange for Draco the Ruler's life. Like that's not unbelievable, bro. Right? So none of these explanations make sense. But then he messes up. He goes and he says, yo, I got paid $600 for the show, so why would I tell a ninja to F it up though? And that's a fact you should know. Slim just died. I wasn't worried about, bro. I came to get the dough. Was finna hit the stage. Then I heard how y'all heard somebody got hit with a blade. But this part right here will be his biggest mistake. So first off, he actually admits that he went through the artist entrance and he was actually at the festival. See, because YG's performance got canceled. So for the most part, YG could have said, man, I wasn't there. I was in my car. Right? Yo, it got canceled 45 minutes before I was supposed to hit the stage. The festival, all the other performances got canceled at 8:45 p.m. YG was supposed to perform at 9:30. So YG could have said, bro, this was like an hour beforehand, because Draco apparently got there at about what they said about 8 p.m., 8:20, right? Around 8:20 to 8:30-ish. And everything took place within like 3 minutes. So YG could have said, bro, this happened an hour before I was set to perform. I never got there.
Facts.
My performance got canceled. I don't know what y'all talking about. But he puts himself there. But then also too, he lies. He says, I was about to hit the stage. I was about to walk on stage when I found out that Draco the Ruler passed away. That was so dumb. It was just so dumb. Because first of all, YG wasn't set to perform until 9:30. Draco the Ruler walked in and everything took place around 8:20 to 8:30. Draco the Ruler, once he got stabbed, everything got shut down by 8:45 p.m. All the performances got canceled by 8:45 p.m. So 45 minutes before YG was set to perform, everything got canceled and the police was evacuating everybody from out the building. So YG could have easily said, I never made it in. This took place an hour before I was set to perform. I was still in my Sprinter van. No. YG says, no, I was in the building. I was walking on stage when I heard this. Cut it out. But also, here's why it's dumb. Because everything got canceled 45 minutes before, the stages got shut down, the police was evacuating. We know YG was not on stage. Well, if you was present, again, like you said, you was at the festival, you was in the building, well, your security guard was on camera fighting. If he was fighting at around 8:30 and you was around, you was in the building, like you said, then where were you at? Where were you at? If your personal security guard, Gloves, was fighting on camera, we see Gloves' face on camera fighting, then where was you at if you claim...
Hold on. So right now, they saying that he was there, right? But he had like a mask on, and the person that picked him out said, I knew that was YG because he knew his eyes were like some weird, like hazel eyes, weird shit, you know what I'm saying? And he's just like basically trying to say that's who he was, da da da. He was there the whole time with a face mask, and his entourage was also covered in masks, and they was all ready. And then he had like prison blades on him and shit, like shanks and shit. And I'm like, bro, what was they on? Like, this some weird shit. I don't know if it was like shanks to get into the festival so they could get to him because they knew Draco was gonna be there. But apparently also Draco, he didn't he didn't have security with him, but he knew YG was performing. They knew they had beef. It was a lot. Like, it's just a lot of things don't add up. And he also was it's like the kind of like the XX situation. Like, he wasn't moving with security. And a lot of times these famous people, they like PNB, they don't move. They don't have like the security. Or even Young Dolph, they didn't have the security with them like they really should have moving through. They think that in their city or they somewhere, whoa, like shit ain't gonna happen. Like, niggas is jealous, niggas is hateful, niggas is mad bitch, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? But that is what it is, you know what I'm saying? But we not gonna keep talking and politicking and all that other bullshit. We gonna get back to this motherfucker right here. Let's slide, bro.
You was in the building. See, y'all get to talking too much and y'all get to thinking like y'all can outsmart everybody. Well, we found out exactly where YG was at today because Draco's security guard had a deposition. And during this deposition, he actually gave us step-by-step of exactly what he saw, who he recognized, who had a knife, and he walked us through the entire moment leading up to Draco the Ruler's death. Now, much of this, if you watch this channel, you know I already broke this down to a science, letting you guys know the exact movements already, but people ain't believe me. They thought I was capping. So you're about to hear it from the security guard's mouth. Now, I'm going to use the help of my boy, Respectable Rants, right? You know, he did a great breakdown. He read the document thoroughly. So we're going to go to Respectable Rants to hear where Draco's security guard identifies YG and also breaks down the exact series of events that led up to Draco the Ruler dying.
He would then say that he knows YG did an interview on No Jumper that was publicly released. He told them it was released in the summer of 2021 and that a lot happened in that 3 to 4 month period. They then asked him who was the interview with, and he would respond and say YG and his 2 artists. They would then ask him what was said about Draco or Draco's camp, and he would respond and say that YG said we don't do that internet stuff and that the homie's gonna get you. They would then ask him that based on his knowledge and understanding, what gangs were YG and his crew affiliated with. And he would say the Inglewood families, and I think they're called the Treetop Pyrus. That's what YG claims. They would then ask him, are the Inglewood families a blood or a Crip subset? And he would say bloods. They would then ask him what are the Treetop Pyrus, and he would say they call themselves Pyrus, but they're still bloods. They would then ask him how many passes were given to Draco, and he would say 10. They would then ask him about the 10 passes, and he would say 4 videographers, 2 DJs, Draco, Ralphie, him, and the last person was a video editor that was a female. They would then ask him, did any promoters or security companies reach out to Draco in the weeks leading up to the festival? And he would respond and say, as far as I know, I was supposed to meet up with a guy named Wack 100, who was supposed to coordinate me with Snoop Dogg. But other than that, I never spoke with anyone about anything.
Wack has spoken about this in the past, and honestly, I'll be real. Again, this is not glazing, okay? Y'all about to say it's glazing. I do believe that if Wack 100 was there, Draco would still be alive. Let me explain. When he says Draco told me I was supposed to contact some dude called Wack 100, that's because Wack 100 had Blueface, Game, and other artists that was set to perform. Now, because he had like 4 to 5 artists, Wack had 100 passes. So Wack had 100 people with him. If Draco came with 10 people, that's 110 that Wack would have had with him. Wack is also a blood. The Game is a blood. Game and YG got their like partnership. They wouldn't have stabbed and killed Draco in front of Whack, Game, and everybody else that's riding with Whack who are Bloods and Crips, you feel, right? Like they wouldn't have attacked Draco in front of them, especially if the game is, they're like, hey, bro, chill. He with me tonight, bro. YG, chill, right? So I think Draco would have still been alive. So when he brings up Whack, that's what he's referring to. Now, Whack ultimately left because Draco told Whack he was like 30 minutes away like 4 different times. And so Whack just thought, okay, he's not showing up, right? You know, like I think at some point Draco stopped communicating. So Whack just thought, okay, like he's not showing up, and they left.
Other than Draco, he's the one that told me I was supposed to meet up with Whack. They would then show him a document and ask him, before today, have you ever seen this? And he would respond, yes, in September of 2023. They would then ask him, why did he see it on that occasion? And he would say, yeah, the detective on the case spoke with me about this. They would then ask him, where did you guys first make contact with security? And he would say on Exposition and Bill Robinson Lane. He then said as he approached the security guard, he would roll down the passenger side window, and the first thing the security said to him was, what's up, blood? Draco's security then said that he gave the security guard that said blood a funny look. Then he looked to his right, and he heard Draco say, what the F? He would then ask him where do they go next, and he would point to the next checkpoint. They would then ask him to explain for the record what what's up, blood meant. And he would say that he felt like it was some sort of intimidation factor because everybody knew the car that Draco drove, and he was in all Draco's videos. And don't forget they drove there in Draco's Rolls Royce Dawn. But he would say before they reached the checkpoint, there were a bunch of cars in front of them. And he would say in hindsight, he knew the guys that were directly in front of them. And he would say that he found out that was YG's camp. And he would say that this is all speculation, but he felt like it was an intimidation factor by them saying, what's up, blood? Like you're walking into blood territory.
If that story sounds familiar, then that means you watch my channel. So when I broke down, Draco the Ruler, his security, and his team walked up. A security guard told him, what up, blood? That alarmed Draco. It alarmed the security, and it alarmed people involved, because if the security knew who Draco was, then he knows Draco don't get along with the blood. So what up, blood and Draco could have ended bad right there. So they just thought, okay, like that's weird, but gave him a pass. And that's where this case extends from a chance occurrence between 2 entourages that led to somebody dying to a conspiracy.
Okay.
And, when they are asking these questions, these questions are very specific. They are very specific. You could damn near hear the RICO being built through the line of questioning.
So
it goes from a chance occurrence to a conspiracy once you put in the factor of, the security guards was allowing all the Bloods to bring in their weapons, but yet they were searching Draco the Ruler and his team. Like Draco's security was not allowed to bring in his gun even though he's security. So, like, just that alone is conspiracy. Now,
and that's why I'm confused. I was saying that earlier. It's like, how was they able to get all the shit in? Woo woo. But I'm just confused on the whole situation. Like, how did somebody even let that happen? You feel me? Like, it just does, none of it makes sense right now. I'm just very confused.
If you guys don't know, and I keep saying, Live Nation is doing their own investigation too. Live Nation is currently going through multiple lawsuits at this time. They're being sued by Draco the Ruler's son, and they're also being sued by Draco the Ruler's family, both for wrongful death lawsuits. Now, if this investigation escalates, YG can also expect a lawsuit from Draco's son, I would imagine. But because Live Nation is being sued, they want to get down to the bottom of this. And if that security guard was in on this, who hired that security guard? Was he a lone wolf? Was there other security guards who was a part of this? And because this conspiracy is so it's so complicated and convoluted, it's taking a long time. But right now, people are finally stepping forward and speaking, which is why this investigation is unraveling. I'm not even talking about the deposition. I'm talking about right now, people who were not willing to speak before are finally talking and speaking and opening up. And police is learning more information than they've ever received. Now, I don't know who has sparked the confidence in people to finally come forward and speak, but people who were involved, people who were not involved but were there, they are coming forward and they're giving information, and it's looking bad for YG.
They would then ask him, when you guys entered the grounds of Exposition Park, at that point, what happened next? And he would say that he saw a group in front of them. They were going through the checkpoint, but they're just talking. And he would say that in comparison to the security at Rolling Loud, he would notice that at this concert, there was no dogs going around the car and nobody got out the vehicle to be searched. And he would say that he was watching the group in front of them and he would notice that nobody was taking out the vehicle to be searched. He would tell him it was about 2 to 3 vehicles in that group and they went past the checkpoint. But when they pulled up next to be searched, they would ask him to get out the vehicle and they would pat his pockets. But he was the only one taken out, and after that, they would allow them to go through. They would then ask him, did there come a time when you saw them cars park and the people exit? And he would respond and say yes, he saw about 10 to 12 people get out the Astro van. But he would say that he didn't see how many got out the other 2 vehicles. They would then ask him if he seen the Astro van with 10 to 12 people being searched at any point. And he would say no, he only seen the driver get out and being pat down. He would then explain how the pat downs, including his, were very, very quick and they really only checked pockets. They would then ask him if he had to show any passes or any type of identification, and he would say no, they just saw it was Draco and they let us go. They would then ask him what the 10 to 12 people were wearing, and he would say a lot of red shirts, red jackets, red ski masks, red gloves, red shoes, just everything. And he would tell him they weren't only just wearing red, they were throwing up gang signs with their hands. And he would notice that they were throwing up the B. And he would explain that they were all taking pictures and that there was a cameraman that was standing behind the cars, just taking pictures. And he would say he was watching his surroundings because he knew everybody knew Draco's vehicle. They would then ask him, when he observed the individuals in the van, was it his understanding that that was YG's crew? And he would respond and say yes. They would ask him, entourage or group? And he would say yes, I saw YG, he was in front of.
So if you saw them, you knew you had beef, you knew there was a whole bunch of fucking people screaming shit at you from the other side and twisting fingers, and you still went on. I don't understand. What was his like? What was he like? I'm just so tough that like I'm good, or like his brain was like maybe if I get inside I'm good, or nothing's gonna happen to me. Like there's not that just doesn't make sense, bro.
Everybody taking a picture, as if the group was standing behind him and he was singled out in the front.
Oh, that's crucial. That's important. If you rewind to the first minute or 2 minutes of this video, you would understand why that's important. Because you have to be accountable for yourself. Where were you at when this altercation was taking place? What were you doing? Because we answered the question where you was at because you said you was in the building. Well, where was you at? What was you doing when your security guard and your homies was involved in an altercation with Draco the Ruler's team? Where was you at when Draco the Ruler was stabbed? See, you already got to speaking. You claimed you was walking on stage. You wasn't set to perform until 9:30. This altercation took place at 8:30. So you wasn't walking on stage. So where was you at when this altercation was taking place? Oh, no, son.
Facts.
You see why it's best to just keep quiet? To just
Say nothing.
Because he could have played it, well, I was still outside. No. You was inside. You was in the festival.
You know the courts like to use
So
lyrics.
from in the festival, where were you at when this altercation was taking place? But it gets worse though. Because not only do he identify YG from being outside taking pictures, he would also identify YG as being a part of the altercation and claiming that YG, some BPS members, and somebody else had a knife. And they were swinging that knife and slashing that knife all around, even before Draco the Ruler ultimately got stabbed and killed.
They then asked him what was YG wearing, and he would tell him a black ski mask, black shiny jacket, black pants with a red stripe going down the side, and black shiny shoes. They would then ask, so the other guys were wearing red, correct? And he would say yes. And as you can see right here, which would be the video of the situation, you can see the clothes that he's describing. But we're gonna dive into that in a little bit. He would then tell him that eventually they parked their vehicles and everybody would gather around. And as they were walking to the gate, Draco turned around to go put something in his vehicle. He would tell him that he forgot what it was, but he believes that it was a bag. And he would say that as they were walking to the vehicle, he would notice that the 400 camp was walking towards them. But he would say that Chief and Heavily also went back to his own vehicle to put something inside of it. But he would say that him and Draco and Chief and Heavily went different ways. He went with Draco, and then Chief and Heavily went a separate way. But as the group regathered, Chief and Heavily would tell him that there was an attempted robbery on his chain. And he would say that after that, Draco said, "What the F? Hell no," and immediately ran back towards the pink lot. Draco's security said that he tried to grab him by his shirt collar, but wasn't able to get him. They would then ask him if he followed Draco to the pink lot. And he would say, "Yes, I immediately tried to grab him." They would then ask him, "Then what happened? Did an altercation ensue?" He would then tell him yeah, but he still wanted to do his job by protecting Draco, and that he didn't want to grab him and fight with him, knowing that all the people were coming towards them. He would then say that the brawl broke out, and he would hit the first person coming towards them. And he would tell him that he also brought a knife in that night, but it was inside of Draco's Rolls Royce. They would then ask him how many people were they fighting, and he would say 20 to 25 people minimum. And they would ask him if he recognized anybody in that group of 25. And he would respond and say, "I only recognize one, YG." And they would ask him, so he was directly involved in the fight? And he would say yes, front and center. He would then say how Draco was standing by his side when he was fighting YG and YG's bodyguard, and he would say that YG produced a knife from his left hand. He would then say that when he seen that, he backed up and Draco was standing by his side the whole time. He would then say that more people began swarming and they would attempt to fight off while backing up. They would then ask him, "So you witnessed YG, who you recognized produced a knife from his sleeve, correct?" And he would respond and say yes. And he would say that he just saw the blade, he didn't see the handle, and that it was a silver blade, almost like a shank made in prison. He told him it was about 3 to 4 inches long, and he was slashing it at him. They would then ask him, did he witness any other knives in the melee? And he would say, yeah, there was a guy on the left of YG that had a knife also. And they would ask him to describe the knife, and he would say the same thing. And he would say you can tell they had a knife because nobody swings a punch like how they were doing in the video.
I've heard this before, but I didn't think YG was this dumb. Honestly, in my head, what I thought was, oh, like YG, man, he sent the hit probably. Man, YG was probably kicked up somewhere outside in his vehicle like a mob boss as this was going on. I didn't think YG was this stupid. But which makes sense because YG, personal security guard is squaring up with Ralphie the Plug. Ralphie the Plug goes to throw a kick. A personal security guard backs up. Ralphie then goes around to try to see what's going on over here. The security guard then punches this dude, this 5 foot, 110 pounds soaking wet dude, punch him to the ground, knocks him out. So if the personal security guard was there, stupid me, of course YG was there. Of course he was present if the personal security guard that's supposed to be guarding YG's body was there, then of course YG was there. Because why would the personal security guard be there if YG was not there? Then who's guarding YG? It's common sense would have told me YG was there, but I just didn't think YG was this dumb, was this stupid. Now the next part is the part that I already told you guys before. This is where Draco got stabbed. Now a lot of people think the video that's been circulating is of Draco getting stabbed. No, that's the video of the fight. Like when you see people like going back and stuff like that. No, that's of the fight.
Yeah, I've never seen
Things had died down.
Not that I
People
remember.
thought, okay, everything is good. Now once it dies down, they get bum rushed by multiple dudes. I think 2 dudes bum rushed them. But here's the thing. One dude engages with the security guard. They tussling. Then the other dude goes around the security guard and stabs Draco. The security guard identifies the dude because he sees who went past him to stab Draco. But he wasn't able to turn his head to stop the dude from stabbing Draco because he was occupied with the dude like this. So 2 dudes came, he's fighting one dude, the other dude goes around him and stabs Draco, but he sees the dude, so he can identify the dude and he can identify who it is, but it's just a dude that he doesn't recognize. However, it's one of the dudes who did this and says, which means he's BPS. That's Frankenstone I told y'all about.
They would then ask him, so you're familiar with his body type, height, size, and demeanor? And he would answer yes to all of them. They would then ask him, so you described 3 men, they all had knives. One was YG and 2 other people that were with him. What happens next in the melee? He would then say that they were yelling out, oh, this is Draco, this is Mr. Get Dough, this is Mr. Mosley. He would then say that they kept taunting him and saying, what do you want to do? And he would say he also heard people yelling out Su Whoop and blood. And they would ask him what Su Whoop or Whoop meant. And he would say that it was a call that the Bloods did to gather up. They would then ask Coop, so they were yelling out, what's up, Bloods to Draco, right? And he would respond and say, yeah, they were also beating on their chest. He would then tell him that there's another gang called BPS, or the Gorilla Stones, and they do that a lot. They'll beat on their chest and yell out Su Whoop. And he would tell him that the Baby Stone Gorillas is another group that Draco's beefing with. They would then ask, who are the Gorilla Stones? Is that a blood gang? And he would answer, yeah, from that area as well. They would then ask him, near Exposition Park, and he would respond and say correct. They would then ask him, who was Draco beefing with that was related to the gang or group? And he would say, I don't know their names, but it's the artists of the group. They call themselves the Baby Stone Gorillas.
What's your thoughts on that, man? Like, Draco and everything.
It is what it is. J-Side did what J-Side did, and they did what they did. So.
They would then ask him if there was a rapper representing that gang in any way, and Draco was beefing with them, and he would answer yes. And they would ask him, are they affiliated with YG in a gang sense? And he would respond and say yes. They would then ask him to explain what he witnessed when Draco was stabbed, and he would tell him that he did not witness the Draco stabbing. And he would say he didn't see him actually get stabbed, but once police came in and broke everything up, he was able to turn back to that direction and notice that Draco was holding his neck. He said he then ran up to Draco yelling his name, but Draco didn't respond. He would then say that he noticed that blood was coming out of Draco's neck, and he would take off his own scarf and try to wrap Draco up with it, and that he stood by Draco's side until the ambulance took him away. They would then ask him to walk them through the process when he got to the hospital. And he said when he first arrived, the first encounter that he had was all of Draco's friends.
This is truly one of the greatest tragedies in hip-hop history. This is bad, man. This is terrible. Now, again, if you've listened to this and you're not convinced that YG and others involved are gonna get caught eventually, then I don't know what to tell you. But what I can say is this, man. Regardless of your thoughts on who Draco was and the life that Draco lived, we can all agree that Draco did not deserve this. Nobody deserved this. That the people who took his life, they did not have the authority to take his life. It was not their business taking his life. They have no business. They're not God. You don't get to determine who lives and who dies.
God.
We get so caught up in this rap beef in the streets that we often lose sight of humanity and decency. They killed somebody for no reason whatsoever. And they need to be held accountable. And if you want to call people rats and snitches and this and this and this, for saying someone needs to be held accountable for taking a life, then so be it. But you're on the wrong side of history here. And I've been receiving, again, blackmails and threats and lies on my name. It's not going to deter me. This is wrong. This is wrong. If you wanted the head up fade, get the head up fade with him. But jumping this man 100 to 10 and then stabbing him to death when you guys still couldn't beat them up. Y'all jump him 100 to 10, you still couldn't beat, he was still standing on 2 feet. So y'all got to stab him because you couldn't really tussle with him. Man, this is, y'all let me know in the comment section, bro. What do you guys think about this, okay? If you're still watching this video, man, and you want to watch another good.
Damn, bro, that's crazy, bro. Like, it's just crazy how, like, motherfuckers is willing to lose what they work so hard for, these millions, this pinnacle of aspirations and dreams that they were trying to achieve in life, only to throw it away because they wanted to shoot somebody, kill, throw them away. NFL players want to be throwing people in ditches, and hip hop stars want to kill and shoot people and think they gonna get. It's like what? You want to rob people, do that, you know what I'm saying? Murder for hire. You think you're going to rap about it? Ooh, I'm in the song, bro. My man's killed you, but fuck you. Like, they ain't going to catch you. Now you want to rap about it? You goofy. You talk about no rats, nigga. You ratted on yourself. You told nigga on yourself. You the rat, nigga. Who the fuck are you talking about? Fuck them niggas, they rats, nigga. No, you the rat, my nigga. You told on yourself, you a bitch. Anyway, man, fuck all that. Man, thank y'all for coming through, watching my motherfucking videos. Look, y'all been running it up like I said in the beginning. Y'all been doing y'all thing. I appreciate it. Man, I'm just trying to do what it do. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be here all day, every day, make more content, provide for y'all, like, you know what I'm saying, what y'all need in the streets. You feel me? And I go to the concert, show y'all, like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I meet up with y'all at the concerts. I will be giving away concert tickets soon, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to start running games and shit like that. We're going to start doing lives and shit like that. So other than that, I appreciate y'all for coming through, watching all day, every day. Thanks. I love y'all. Have a great day. Have a blessed week. Peace.